Have you ever stood in the kitchen early in the morning, stirring a warm bowl of oatmeal for your mom, dad, maybe even your grandparents? You pick out the healthy toppings, maybe a splash of milk, a little honey, a spoonful of yogurt, or some chopped fruit, thinking you're making something nourishing, something comforting, something safe. And then, a few hours later, they start complaining. Their stomach feels off. They're more tired than usual. They seem slower, almost foggy. You wonder, is it just age? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just one of those days. But what if it's not? What if the very breakfast you thought was helping was quietly hurting them? Look, I get it. Oatmeal has always had this wholesome, heartwarming reputation, right? Easy to chew, full of fiber, helps with cholesterol. Sounds like a dream breakfast for seniors. But here's the thing no one really tells you. When you mix oatmeal with certain everyday foods that seem healthy on their own, you can unknowingly create a perfect storm for digestive problems, medication conflicts, and even chronic inflammation. And the worst part? These effects don't always show up right away. They creep in slowly, day after day, until one morning your loved one just doesn't feel like themselves anymore. I know this might be hard to hear, especially if you've been doing everything you can to take care of someone you love. But stay with me, because this might be one of the most important conversations we've ever had about something as simple and sacred as breakfast. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 common foods that, when combined with oatmeal, can quietly disrupt a senior's health. And I promise, some of these are going to surprise you, especially number 6. That one, almost no one sees coming. So if you've ever made oatmeal for a loved one thinking it was a smart, nourishing choice, comment, "I'm here" below, because you're not alone and your care matters. And if you're new here, or if you're looking for trusted advice on senior health and family caregiving, hit that subscribe button and join us at Wisdom of Longevity, where compassion and knowledge come together. All right, let's take a closer look at what's really in that bowl of oatmeal. You might never see it the same way again. Number 1, oatmeal and dairy milk. Tom, a devoted son, made breakfast for his elderly mom every morning. He'd gently warm up some milk and pour it into her oatmeal, just the way she liked it when he was a kid. It was a small ritual, a comforting one, but after a few weeks his mom started complaining about stomach cramps. She felt bloated, sluggish, sometimes even nauseous. Tom couldn't figure it out. He was doing everything right, wasn't he? Here's the truth no one warns us about. As we age, many of us lose the ability to digest lactose, the sugar found in dairy. The enzymes in our gut that used to break it down just aren't as strong anymore. So when seniors drink milk, even just a little in their oatmeal, it can trigger bloating, gas, and uncomfortable indigestion. And worse, it can actually interfere with how their body absorbs important nutrients from the rest of their food. Now here's the kicker. People often say, "But milk has calcium. Isn't that good for bones?" Yes, in theory. But not if it's making your loved one feel sick after every breakfast. Not if their gut can't even process it. Instead, try almond milk or oat milk. Make sure it's unsweetened and fortified with calcium and vitamin D. These options are easier on the stomach and just as nutritious, if not more. Now, if you think milk was a surprise, wait until you hear about a fruit that can actually interfere with medications. Number 2, oatmeal and grapefruit, or grapefruit juice. Maria thought she was doing the right thing. Her father needed more vitamin C, so she added a few fresh slices of grapefruit to his morning oatmeal. It tasted fresh, light, seemed healthy. But within a few weeks, his blood pressure started spiking out of nowhere. His doctor couldn't understand why the medication wasn't working anymore. Here's what was happening behind the scenes. Grapefruit interacts with enzymes in the liver, specifically one called CYP3A4. This enzyme helps the body break down many medications, like statins, blood pressure meds, and even anti-anxiety drugs. When grapefruit blocks that enzyme, those medications can build up dangerously in the bloodstream, or stop working altogether. It's sneaky, because we think, it's fruit, it's natural, it must be good. But in this case, it's a health hazard. So if your loved one is on heart meds, cholesterol meds, or any drug with a grapefruit warning label, avoid grapefruit completely. Instead, reach for fruits like blueberries, apples, or even a few slices of pear. They're safe, delicious, and offer plenty of benefits without the risky side effects. But fruit isn't the only sweet trap. Let's move on to something sitting quietly in your fridge right now. Number 3, oatmeal and flavored yogurt. Jen was trying to do something special. Every morning she'd swirl a big spoonful of strawberry yogurt into her dad's oatmeal. It looked beautiful, it smelled sweet, and he loved it. But after a few weeks, she noticed something troubling. His blood sugar levels were spiking, even though he was eating healthy. She was confused. Isn't yogurt good for you? It has probiotics, right? Yes, but not all yogurts are created equal. Many flavored yogurts, especially the fruit on the bottom or dessert-style kinds, are loaded with added sugar. Some have as much sugar as a candy bar. And for seniors, especially those with diabetes or prediabetes, that's a serious problem. Sudden sugar spikes can lead to fatigue, mood swings, and even long-term organ stress. Here's a better option: plain Greek yogurt. It's high in protein, low in sugar, and supports gut health without the hidden dangers. You can add a few fresh berries, like raspberries or blueberries, for natural sweetness, plus antioxidants. Remember, what seems healthy on the surface isn't always what it seems, and sugar doesn't always look like sugar. Now, speaking of hidden sugar, there's one pantry item people mix into oatmeal all the time, thinking it's a health boost, but it might be doing far more harm than good. Let's talk about something that feels so harmless, even loving. Number 4, oatmeal with honey or maple syrup. George was a sweet soul. Every morning he'd drizzle a little honey over his oatmeal. He liked the way it made the oats glisten, the way it reminded him of the breakfast his late wife used to make. It was his moment of peace. But over time, his doctor noticed something troubling. George's weight was slowly increasing. His insulin levels were rising, and no one could figure out why. The rest of his meals were modest, nothing excessive. So what was the problem? Natural sugars. That's the hidden trap. Honey, maple syrup, agave. They're all marketed as natural sweeteners. And while they might sound healthier than white sugar, they still spike insulin and blood sugar, especially in seniors dealing with metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, or diabetes. And in older adults, those spikes come with more risk. They increase inflammation, trigger fatigue, and can even mess with appetite regulation throughout the day. Now, don't get me wrong, flavor is important. We're not trying to make oatmeal boring. But instead of sweetening with syrup or honey, try using mashed banana for natural sweetness and potassium, or a dash of cinnamon, but we'll get to that in a second. Another great option? A few chopped dates or unsweetened applesauce. Small swaps, big difference. But speaking of cinnamon, let's talk about how even too much of a good thing can quietly turn harmful. Number 5, oatmeal with excess cinnamon or nutmeg. A loving daughter thought she was doing everything right. She read somewhere that cinnamon helps with blood sugar, so she started adding a heaping spoonful to her father's oatmeal every morning. Not a sprinkle, a scoop. At first it seemed harmless, but then her father began showing signs of liver distress. Fatigue, yellowing skin, discomfort that wasn't there before. Here's why. Not all cinnamon is created equal. The kind you find in most grocery stores, called cassia cinnamon, contains a compound called coumarin, which, in large doses, can be toxic to the liver. And nutmeg, in small amounts, it adds warmth. But too much can actually cause hallucinations, nausea, and serious strain on the liver. We forget that spices are potent. Just because something is natural doesn't mean it's risk-free. So what's the safe move? Stick with Ceylon cinnamon, often labeled as true cinnamon. It has lower levels of coumarin and is gentler on the body. And no matter what spice you use, go easy. A light dusting is all you need. Now, we've talked about sugars and spices. But what about something that's supposed to be good for digestion? Something you've probably added to oatmeal thinking, this will help them go. Number 6, oatmeal with high fiber add-ins like bran or psyllium husk. Helen was trying to be proactive. Her mom had been struggling with constipation, so she added a scoop of psyllium husk to her oatmeal every morning. It worked for her, so why not her mom? But soon her mother began experiencing stomach pain, uncomfortable bloating, And worst of all, her thyroid medication wasn't working the way it used to. What happened? Here's the overlooked truth. Too much fiber, especially when added too quickly, can interfere with how medications are absorbed. Fiber binds to certain compounds in the stomach, including prescription drugs, and can make them less effective. It can also slow digestion too much, especially in aging bodies where things already move a little slower. And even worse, excessive fiber without proper hydration can make constipation worse, not better. We tend to think more fiber equals better digestion. But for seniors, that's not always true. The balance has to be gentle, measured. Introduce fiber slowly, and never add it close to when medications are taken, especially thyroid, blood pressure, or heart medications. So yes, fiber is important, but timing and moderation are everything. Now, let's tackle one final combination, one that sounds modern, health-forward, even trendy, but it could be putting unnecessary strain on the one organ that matters most in our later years. Number 7, oatmeal with protein powders. Jason meant well. His grandfather was losing muscle, so he added a scoop of chocolate protein powder to his oatmeal every morning, hoping it would help him regain strength. But then the opposite started happening. His grandfather felt nauseous, constipated, even confused some mornings. His energy dropped, his appetite disappeared. Why? Because many protein powders are filled with artificial sweeteners, preservatives, and concentrated protein that can overwhelm aging kidneys. Seniors often have reduced kidney function, even without being diagnosed with kidney disease. So adding that protein hit, especially in the morning when hydration is low, can put serious stress on their system. And here's another misconception. More protein equals more strength. Not if the body can't process it. So what's the better option? If your loved one needs more protein, stick with real food. A spoonful of unsweetened nut butter, a side of scrambled eggs, or even cottage cheese if they tolerate dairy. Always check with their doctor before introducing any supplement, even the ones that seem harmless. So now you might be wondering, what if I've already been making some of these mistakes? What if you've been combining oatmeal with one or more of these foods thinking you were helping? First of all, you're not alone. And second, you're already doing something right by being here, by learning, by caring enough to ask the hard questions. Coming up next, let's talk about what you can do about all this. Because knowledge is powerful, but action is what protects the people we love most. If you've been preparing oatmeal like this for weeks, months, maybe even years, please hear me when I say this. You are not alone. And more importantly, you're not a bad caregiver. It's heartbreaking to realize that something you thought was helpful might have been causing harm. You were trying to comfort, to nourish, to keep someone you love strong. That effort, that intention, it matters. Because this isn't about blame. It's not about guilt. It's about growth. The truth is, caregiving is a journey of learning. No one hands you a perfect guide when your parent starts aging. No one teaches you how to read food labels for hidden sugars or how fiber could mess with medicine. We're all learning as we go, and that's what makes you an incredible caregiver. You showed up, you're listening, and now you're ready to do better. It doesn't take a big overhaul. It just takes awareness, compassion, a few mindful swaps, a few conversations with a doctor or pharmacist, a peek into the pantry to say, okay, what am I really adding to this bowl? Because now you know, and that changes everything. Real caregiving isn't about perfection. It's about adapting, caring enough to adjust, loving enough to let go of old habits if they're no longer safe. That's the beauty of it. It's never too late to make a change. It's never too late to do right by someone you love. And maybe now, your oatmeal routine turns into something better, simpler, smarter, more nourishing in every sense of the word. So go ahead, take a quiet moment today, look through your cabinets, read a label or two. Ask your loved one how they've been feeling after breakfast lately, or even bring this up during their next doctor's visit. These little steps, they ripple into big protection over time. You've got this, and you're doing better than you think. Let's quickly go over what we learned today, just to keep it fresh in your mind. We talked about 7 oatmeal combinations that might be silently doing harm to seniors. 1. Dairy milk, which can cause bloating and cramps due to hidden lactose intolerance. 2. Grapefruit or grapefruit juice, which interferes with common medications. 3. Flavored yogurt packed with sugars that mess with blood sugar levels. 4. Honey or maple syrup, natural but still spiking insulin and inflammation. 5. Too much cinnamon or nutmeg, which can harm the liver in excess. 6. High fiber add-ins like bran or psyllium, which block medication absorption. 7. Protein powders, often too harsh on aging kidneys and full of additives. Which of these caught you off guard? Did you find yourself thinking, wow, I had no idea? Or maybe you recognize something that happened with your parent, grandparent, or someone you care for. Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. Your story might help someone else feel seen, might even save another caregiver from confusion or heartache. And if this video brought you clarity, peace of mind, or even a little reassurance, tap that like button. It helps this message reach more families who truly need it. And don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom of Longevity, because this channel is your space, a place for kind, informed, real conversations about elderly care, where science meets heart, where community matters. We're in this together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring the way you do, and thank you for wanting to do better. Not out of guilt, but out of love. Stay kind, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video, right here on Wisdom of Longevity.